Hello, welcome back, everyone. Great to be with you. Let's dive right in, setting up our consciousness, knowing that what we're doing here is plugging into the tree of life reality, awakening more love, transforming all aspects of our limited nature using the light of the Zohar, the most powerful light, to reveal the light of our soul, to reveal blessings and protection and consciousness. There's so much pollution in our minds because of our ego and our limited selves. The Zohar helps come and replace that with the voice of our soul. We've been speaking about dreams the last few days ago. The messages that come through, the Zohar helps us receive those messages that our soul receives every night from the spiritual realms to do what we have to do today. So let's draw that consciousness. Let's strengthen the light of our soul within us to help us overcome all aspects of separation or negativity and reveal that light of love in the world. So, with the prayer of the Ari to open up our hearts with deep appreciation for this great merit, to do everything we can to help reveal this light and to help live really by these follow this path and fulfill what we're meant to with this great light. Here we go. ריבון העולמים ואדוני האדונים, אב הרחמים וסליחות מלך לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו וגידה, ובשתך ושקר ותנת תורתך ולעבודתך ולעבודת הקודש, ונתת לנו למוסדות תורתך הקדושה מענו מחיינו, אשר עשיתם עליך סגד וכוזע, כן אנחנו מעפילים תחנן לבניך, שד בנך ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועבודתנו ועד יום ונתנו מעפילים אלינו לבניך. וכן יסובנו אדונינו ולאבותינו שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולאהבתך ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו ותפתח לבבינו הערה בסודות תורתך, ויהיה למדין זה נחת רוח לפני כיסך, עבודך כך ניחוח, ותציל עלינו עומק כל נשמתנו וכל בחינתנו, ושיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבדיך הקדושים אשר ידם גילית את דבריך לעולם, וזכותם וזכות אבותם וזכות תורתם ותמימתם וקדושתם, יעמוד לנו דבר נקשר ביזמם, ובזכותם תאר עינינו. ומה שאנו נותנים כמאמן עם זמירות ישראל גל עיני וביטן תפלום מתורתך, כי אדוני ייתן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה. יהיו רצונים מפיו לפניך, אדוני וגואלי. So we are reading about, we're on chapter 10, and Joseph is sent by his father to go and find his brothers. And it says that he meets someone. So let's read what the Zohar says. So Genesis chapter 37, verse 15. So he goes, his father escorts him, and he continues. His father says that they are, with the sheep in Shechem. And on his way, Vayimtsaehu ish, a man finds Joseph. V'hinei to'ev basadeh, he is wandering in the field. Vayish aleo ha'ish le'emo ma tevakesh. A man asks him, "What are you looking for? What are you doing here, wandering around? Can I help you?" Paragraph 102. Vayimtsaehu ish v'hinei to'ev basadeh. Vayish aleo ha'ish le'emo ma tevakesh. Maktiv leila. So, what does it say before? So, what happened before? It says, so we said earlier that Jacob, Israel, tells Joseph, your brothers, aren't they pasturing the sheep, the flock in Shechem? Go and check on them. I'm going to send you and go see where they are. Jacob, the Zohar asks, Jacob, who was on such a high level, Jacob, who was perfect, Jacob, who had perfect consciousness, who had perfect divine inspiration and prophecy, Jacob, who understood the dynamic between the brothers, how they didn't like him very much. Jacob understood that there was animosity between them. That he was most connected, he loved, was most connected with Joseph more than all the other brothers. And he knew that all the other brothers hated Joseph, especially because of the love that Joseph had for Jacob. Jacob had for Joseph. Why did he abandon Joseph? Why did he send him to his brothers? Why did he send them, into the lion's den? Why did he send him to his enemies? We know what happened. His brothers wanted to kill him. His brothers sold him as a slave. Why did Jacob even think it was a good idea to send Joseph to his brothers who weren't getting along with him, to travel far away all by himself? Why didn't he send someone with Joseph? Why did he do it like that? Jacob wasn't concerned at all. Jacob wasn't suspicious that anything would happen. He knew they were all tzaddikim, they were all righteous. All the 12 tribes, all of Joseph's brothers, they were tzaddikim. They were his own children. He would never imagine, he never imagine, he would never suspect them of doing anything like they did. Rather, it was the Creator who made all of this happen. In order to fulfill the decree that was made when Abraham and the Creator had the covenant between the pieces. When Abraham was 70, the Creator came to him and told him, this is what's going to happen. Right now, it looks like you don't have children. Right now, it looks like it's just you and Sarah. Right now, it looks like it's just you on this path. But there's going to be a time where you're going to have millions and millions of descendants. There's going to be a time where you're going to have children, they're going to have children, and your children are going to go through 400 years of slavery. So the Creator had to organize everything that Joseph would eventually become a slave by his brothers, and we'll soon see why that had to happen this way. But Jacob wasn't worried about anything because logically nothing should happen. What happened was not something that you would expect to happen. The brothers, something overcame them. It says that after they sold Joseph into slavery, all their hatred left them. Who put the hatred in their heart? Who made them be jealous of Joseph? It was the Creator who put all that in their heart, the Creator who caused all that to happen. After they left, they had no jealousy for him. After their hearts were completely changed after Joseph was sold because it wasn't their own hatred. The Creator put that animosity and separation between them to cause them to sell Joseph. Same thing, right? Like we were saying the other day, that it was the Creator, the two dots represent the Creator who was behind everything. Same thing in our lives. The challenges we go through, yes, we think this person and that person. Sometimes people are just channels of the light. Now, again, from their perspective, from the brothers' perspective, they did make a mistake, no question about it. But from as Joseph tells his brothers, we'll read a verse similar to close to where Joseph says this. When Joseph reveals himself to his brothers in the portion of Vayigash, when he reveals himself to his brothers, and he says, "I am your brother Joseph. Don't worry about what happened. You thought you were doing something bad to me, but really the Creator all along had good intentions. We were going through chaos. We were going through uncertainty. We were going through challenges. But the whole time it was the Creator pulling the strings. You guys thought you were doing something bad to me, actually? Greatest blessing. I'm now king. I can now support our family. I can now protect all of us." Paragraph 103. Ashkachna b'sifrei kadmai. I think this is Rabbi Shimon still speaking. He says, I found an ancient book. The ancient books, we know at the time what kind of books did they have. They didn't have Zohar, they didn't have Torah, they didn't have anything. But they did have certain ancient books that were from the book of Adam. They had the book of Raziel, the angel. There were different books that were around at the time. And even in the time of Rabbi Shimon, of course, there are also other ancient books. The Vayan Ilem Bnei Yaakov, the Shalta Aloi. That it had to be that the brothers of Joseph ruled over him. They had to control Joseph. Before he went to Egypt. Because had Joseph gone to Egypt and his brothers did not control him before, the Egyptians, which doesn't mean the physical people, but the energy of Egypt And yes, the people also had witchcraft and um, ways. If someone became a slave in Egypt, they would never leave. The fact that Joseph became a king, the fact that the Israelites eventually left Egypt with great wealth and miracles was only a miracle. But the Zohar is saying this is why it happened. This is how it happened. If the Israelites, if Joseph was not controlled by his brothers before he went to Egypt, then Egypt would be able to control Israel forever. They would never be able to leave. There would never be an exodus. V'idkaima baby Yosef. And it all happened with Joseph. That he was sold as a slave. And his brothers controlled him. Even though Joseph was king later, even though Egypt were serving him, they were his slaves. It's really Israel that controlled everything. So what happened? We know Egypt, eventually the Israelites, the children of Israel, were under the control of Egypt. They were slaves. But something happened before. The Zohar says what first happened. The children of Israel, which are the brothers of Jacob, they first controlled Jacob. They sold him into slavery. Joseph became his brother's slave. And then Joseph was sold into slavery in Egypt. So Joseph went into Egypt. So Egypt still controlled, but then he became king. So now Joseph controls Egypt. And actually, during the time of the famine, everyone in the country ran out of money. And so they had to sell themselves as slaves. They sold all their property and themselves just for food. They sold themselves to Joseph and to Pharaoh. And Joseph ruled over all of Egypt. And then, yes, later, Egypt ruled over the Israelites. But because Joseph ruled over Egypt, then even later, because Joseph ruled over Egypt, and because the brothers of Joseph ruled over Joseph, then even when Egypt controlled the Israelites, it was still the brothers controlling Joseph who were controlling Egypt, who were controlling the Israelites. So at the end, it was still the brothers of Joseph, it was still the children of Israel, it was still the Israelites who were controlling Egypt. And that's the only way that they could be free. Because if they didn't have this sequence of control, then the Israelites would never be able to be free. The Israelites would have never been able to experience the Exodus. This is what diminished the power, the Rav Shimon says. And that's what weakened the power, the dominion of the force in Egypt, of the Egyptians, and therefore the Israelites were able to be free. Paragraph 104. Tachazeh, come and see. Yosef Joseph is the supernal covenant, which represents the level of Yisod of Zerampin. As long as this covenant existed, as long as the energy of Joseph was sustained, the Shekhinah, the light of the Creator, existed, was sustained within Israel, within the Israelites, in peace. Kilkayot, as it should be. Once Joseph, who represents the supernal covenant, was gone, when he left this world, Kedein Berit, then the covenant, Shchinta, the Shekhinah, the light of the Creator, the Israel and the Israelites, Kulu Begaluta Nafku, they all went into slavery. They all went into exile. So when Joseph was sold as a slave, then it began the process of the exile. Meaning when he was sold as a slave, then that's when his energy of Yesod was gone. Meaning his position as the channel of Yesod was Zerampin. And we've learned as it says, the slavery in Egypt began in the book of Exodus and Shemot, a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. It all started when the energy of Joseph was unknown, meaning it was not revealed, it was gone, and that's when the slavery began. But don't for a second think, right? So when Joseph's level was nullified, then that's when the slavery began. But don't for a second think that it was any other force other than the Creator who orchestrated all of this, who caused all of this. Everything happened exactly as it should be. It was the Creator who planned all of this. As we said yesterday, if anything had changed, if Jacob went to find Joseph, if the brothers regretted what they did and they went to find him, if they decided to do anything different, if Isaac revealed through prophecy to Jacob what was happening, nothing would have gone the way it was supposed to. If it went the way they wanted it to go, it would have been wrong. It would have been bad. Sometimes when things go the way we want them to do, it's the worst thing that could happen. The best thing was exactly how it happened, the Zohar says. It was all orchestrated by the Creator. As Joseph told his brothers, you thought you were doing something bad. You thought you were harming me. You thought it was you. It was the Creator all along who had the good intention, who knew the plan all along. Where in our lives are we struggling with this? 105. Tachase, come and see. Going back to our story, Vayimtsaehu ish, that a man found him. A man came upon him. Who is this man? Da Gabriel. We're talking about the angel, Gabriel. The Creator sent the angel, Gabriel, Gabriel. And we learned, as it says in the verse Vayimtsaehu ish, that a man found him. A man uses the word ish. And in the book of Daniel it says, in the book of Daniel it says that I saw a man, the man being Gabriel, who I had seen in a vision in the beginning. So whenever it says Haish, man, it means the angel Gabriel. Also the name Gabriel means the man of God, right? So Ish, Ish is another name for man, or Ish is man, and Gever is also man. And the man found him wandering. Joseph was wandering around. He was lost. The Zohar says he was wandering on all ways. He was on the wrong path completely. Why was he off the mark? Because he trusted his brothers. He was sure. He was sure that his brothers still loved him, and he was still looking for the love and unity between his brothers. And he wouldn't find it. He wasn't just wandering around looking for his brothers. He was looking for his brothers' love. And he was looking for them, and he couldn't find them. And that's why it says that he was wandering on always. To'eh means wandering, but also to'ez mean if you spell it with a tet, it means he was mistaken. He was wandering. He was mistaken on always. He thought that they still loved him. He thought that they would never do anything to him. He begged them, nevertheless, again because what had to happen from the divine perspective. He was mistaken. And therefore it says, the man was asking him, the angel Gabriel was asking him, what are you looking for? Okay. Chapter 11. Joseph responds to his brothers, responds to the angel Gabriel, I seek my brothers, I'm looking for my brothers. Genesis 37, verses 16 and 17. He says, I'm looking for my brothers. Where are they feeding the flock? Where are they with the sheep? And the man said, they've left here. Right? He went to where they were supposed to be. He said, they've gone already. They've left. I heard them saying, let's go to the place called Dotan. And he went to that place and he found them there. Paragraph 106. Rabbi Yehuda opens and says, a verse from Song of Songs, chapter 8, Song of Songs, verse 1. If only I could be as with a brother, if only you could be as with a brother, as if you had nursed at my mother's breast, then I could kiss you when I met you in the street, and no one would despise me. We know the verses in Song of Songs, they sound like poetry and love letters, and um, it sounds like it's talking about like King Solomon, in a way, talking physicality. But the Zohar teaches that all of Song of Songs is really just a connection of the soul and the Creator. And this verse, the Zohar is saying that we're talking here about Joseph. Well, first is going to give another explanation. So here it says, Haikra u'kumuach havraya. The friends have explained this verse. Aval Haikra, we're going to explain it in a different way. This verse is talking about Knesset Yisrael amru l'malka d'shlama delay. This is a verse that is between the what's called the congregation of Israel, which represents the Nukva, the Malchut, collective souls of humanity, saying this to the king that to whom peace belongs, which represents the level of Zerampin. So this is the Malchut talking to Zerampin, saying, Mi tencha ke'achli. If only it could be as with a brother. What does that mean? Ki Yosef alachoy, like Joseph with his brothers. Joseph says that I am going to, don't worry. Don't worry, we're in a famine. You thought that you sold me into slavery so I would hate you? No. Don't worry, no matter what, I will sustain you and your kids. I will protect you and our whole family. Bring the whole family. I'm going to take care of everyone. His brothers who sold him into slavery, whose brothers who hated him, whose brothers who wanted to kill him, whose brothers who put him through hell. Don't worry. I love you no matter what. Yehav lon mezona, he provided food for them. Vizan lo bechafna, and he sustained them during the famine. Begin kach mitencha ke'achli, and therefore it is the Knesset Yisrael to Zerampin, it is the Malchut to Zerampin that says, if only it could be as with a brother, meaning like Joseph to his brothers, that meaning that I would always be sustained, Zerampin providing for Nukva, the Zerampin providing for Malchut, that there would always be sustenance no matter what, always be a connection, always be blessings. Paragraph 107, another explanation. When it says, if only it could be as with a brother, Yosef represents Joseph, which represents the level of Yesod to the Shechina, to the light of the Creator, the feminine aspect, residing aspect of the Creator in this world. That he connected and attached himself to the Shechina. Yonek shedei as if you had nursed at my mother's breast. Because then, when she receives the mochin of Ima, which represents the light that comes from a higher level, when that light is revealed, there is unity, there is love, there is perfection, there is wholeness between them. Emsa'acha bachutz, I see you outside on the street, I meet you outside. Gogaluta, that represents in the times of exile, times of darkness. When you're in a foreign land, when you're not home, when you're not safe, when you're not experiencing the light. Ashkecha, I will kiss you. Begin lidamka rucha berucha. A kiss is a connection between spirit to spirit. That's what a kiss between two people is. It's a connection of souls. That's why you don't want to just go around kissing people, because you're literally attaching your soul to them. And that's why a kiss is so powerful, because it's a soul connection. Gam lo yavozuli. So that attachment of spirit to spirit, Gam lo yavozuli, and no one would despise me, means afagav da'ana ba'aracha, even though I'm in a foreign land, which means even though I'm in exile, even though I am in a state of disconnect, I will always be connected, and there will never be, no one would scorn me. I would never experience that separation negativity. And we'll finish here with paragraph 108, in the last verse of this chapter. Tachazeh, come and see. Joseph, even though his brothers didn't act as brothers towards him, kad nafal bidayu, when he fell in their hands, right? Joseph innocently did what his father told him. Go and find your brothers. Go and check on them. Right? His brothers were all older than him. And he came, 17-year-old innocently. I mean, you could think of it like almost in a physical way, right? Like the younger brother trying to fit in. They don't really get along. He's looking for their approval. He's trying to connect with them. He wants to be part of one of the boys. They all went, to take care of the sheep and they're having all their adventures and he's stuck at home and he went to go find them and he had the responsibility his father entrusted him. And he went innocently to go find his brothers. And he thought with love that they would love him back. But when he fell in their hands, they didn't act as brothers to him. However, however, when the tables were turned, when they came when they came to Egypt, not knowing that Joseph was the person standing in front of them, when they came asking for food for their family, Joseph, even though they didn't act as a brother to him when he was in their hands, when they were in his hands, when they were in Joseph's hands, when the brothers were in Joseph's hands, he always treated them like a brother. He pushed them a little bit, he challenged them a little bit, he scared them a little bit, but it says like he put his brothers in prison, him. He treated them like prisoners only in front of the other brothers, but when they were by themselves, he treated them very well. As it says, we've learned that he told them, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And he reassured them. He spoke kindly to them. He spoke to their heart. He tried to comfort them. When he had the opportunity to do what they did to him, he didn't. In every way, he spoke kindly to them. In every way, he spoke from the heart. He spoke with compassion. And the Rav Ashlag says, what does it mean? He spoke in every different way, in every different direction, trying to explain to them what they couldn't fathom. How our brother, we haven't seen our brother in 22 years. All of a sudden, you're saying you're our brother. You're the king of Egypt. You were sold as a slave. We hated you, and you're treating us with such kindness. How is it possible, right? He would send them with food, and then he would give them the money back as they would go with the food, right? And he would send them gifts, and he would, so they couldn't understand, and that was the level of Joseph. That was the certainty Joseph had. Not for a moment did Joseph hate his brothers. Not for a moment did he blame his brothers. No matter what he went through, no matter what darkness he went through, he realized it has nothing to do with them. It's just the Creator. It's me and the Creator. Einon milvado. There's nothing but the light of the Creator. I'm a slave. I'm a prisoner. I'm the king. It's all the light. That was the consciousness of Joseph. That's what we want to also receive as we're studying this. We'll stop here. We'll continue on chapter 12 tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Lots of love to everyone. Have an amazing day.